Hello, everybody, and welcome to the tip of the week. I just want to sort of welcome everyone back from it's kind of a short summer that we had, it seems. I can't believe it's September 5th already, and the leaves are turning colors and they're falling to the ground. And I don't know about you, but for me, I always go through a bit of an emotional change with the change of seasons. And for me, fall is a particularly sensitive time of year because it represents going back to school, going back to work, a certain kind of a growth, and also a little bit of a mourning, letting go of the summer months and the relaxation and the family time that we have during the summer. So I was thinking about what to talk about this week, and as I was preparing my little guy Jake for kindergarten, and just noticing the mixture of anxiety and excitement in the house. On his behalf, he's having that experience, but we are also having that experience too. And just being reminded of all the times in my life when I was venturing off into new territory, not knowing what was to come, having to leave the security of my attachments, whether that be my own parents or caregivers at a younger age, or my husband and my family now in my life, and what that's like to be going off and venturing off, and all of the things that come up. So I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about how we get unstuck, and in order to sort of sort out how we get unstuck when we do get stuck, I thought we'd focus on, where does the stuckness start. So for those of you that I've talked to over the summer, you'll know that I'm on quite a big learning curve. I'm taking some training through the Neufeld Institute, and I'm just learning so much. And I originally took the training to become a better parent and to support other parents. But what I'm realizing is the information I'm getting, and the learning I'm taking away from it is applicable to all walks of people, to being a sentient feeling being. And so it's really enhanced my work in a beautiful way. So one of the terms that Neufeld will use is this idea of stuckness, and how do we get stuck and how do we become unstuck. So using my little guy as a perfect example, we as human beings, our attachments are so, we're creatures of attachment. Our attachments are the most important thing to us, even above and beyond hunger. So for any of us who knows what it's like to lose a strong attachment or to be separated, we sometimes will even lose our appetite because we're longing so badly to be reconnected with that person that's important to us. So children and human beings, we're very vulnerable creatures, and we have this amazing ability to feel our emotions. But what can happen in life is if we experience wounding, and we all experience wounding. Life offers so many wounding experiences, and school being one of them for many of us. And trauma at an older age can wound us as adults. But what happens when we become wounded, or the wounding is too much to bear, is that we shut off our ability to feel our emotions. So we still have the emotions in the part of our brain called the amygdala, but our brain has this amazing ability to shut off feeling those emotions that are too painful for us. And so that at that point we become a little bit stuck. And the reason I use my little guy as an example is that he's going through all these emotions, getting ready to go to school. He's feeling a sense of loss, separation, fear, uncertainty, insecurity. It's so very important that I create space for him to fully experience his vulnerable emotions. I don't want to repress them, or make him feel like he has to be ashamed of them, or tell him to toughen up and get over it. I really have to stop our life for the moment and get down in the space with him and go through the motions with him, so that he doesn't feel alone, and that he learns to feel his emotions instead of blocking them. And sometimes that involves shedding some tears, which is such an important part of the process. Scientists can take these incredible pictures of the brain nowadays, and they can really see what's going on inside of us. And so one of the things that they've discovered is that when we block our ability to feel, and we are no longer able to access our tears around our hurts and our wounding, the brain stops developing. It actually atrophies to some extent, and our maturation stops, which means we stop growing. So what we see are people who grow older but don't necessarily grow wiser or more mature. They don't grow up. And all the education in the world can't help us mature or grow up. Adapting to life's experiences, feeling our feelings, and becoming and growing as resilient human beings is what helps us to mature. So um, the way that we get stuck is when we block our vulnerable emotions. We stop feeling, and we avoid sort of adapting, because what happens when we feel emotion, we feel disappointment, we have tears, is we adapt and we grow and our brain grows. And so in order to get unstuck, it's very, very simple. We need to actually start to tap back in to the experience of feeling those vulnerable emotions, however painful it might be for us. And if we're parents, please create space, safe space for your children to have their tears and to feel their emotions. I know for many of us, we were raised in an era where things like stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about, were said, and where there wasn't a lot of space for emotion. Generationally, it wasn't acceptable. But we're in a different time and place now, and we're learning so much about development and brain science and what works and what doesn't work. And so what scientists now know is that when we shed tears, we become unstuck. We must be able to move from being mad to being sad about something. And when we do that, and when we have that shedding of tears, that experience of those vulnerable emotions, the brain, the neural pathways move and find workarounds in the brain. And so we grow and we adapt and we become resilient. And this is how we mature. And so if we are stuck, chances are somewhere along the way we blocked feeling our vulnerable emotions. And vulnerable emotions, one of the most vulnerable emotions is the emotion of disappointment. And it's something that we tend to want to avoid. I see children avoiding it, but I also see adults avoiding it. And if we as adults can't experience our own disappointments, we certainly can't help our children experience them. But vulnerable emotions can also be positive things like joy and delight, curiosity, caring, and showing that we care about something or someone. That in itself is vulnerable. It's a risk because we're putting ourselves out there, we're opening ourselves up to rejection. So if we have become stuck or we feel stuck, chances are we have repressed or we have had something happen where we have blocked our ability to feel something that's difficult for us. And we haven't allowed ourselves the experience of feeling it. And the way to get unstuck is to once again tap into that emotion. And if necessary, find a safe place where you can have your tears. And sometimes we do just have to stop the world for ourselves and for other people in our life, our children, so that we can experience emotion and so we can grow and become these resilient beings. In the text, in the writing I've attached to this with this video, I've listed some of the vulnerable emotions. If you're interested in Dr. Neufeld, Google the Neufeld Institute. He's got a wealth of information on his website. He's got some incredible training. I'm looking forward to continuing to weave his teachings into the work that I'm doing. And I'm also enjoying my own journey of noticing where I try to avoid feeling something through getting angry or frustrated or trying to control external circumstances that I don't have control over, versus just feeling the difficult emotion that I'm experiencing. And that truly is an amazing gift. And there's such huge freedom in it for us and huge freedom for our children, because what it does is that frees us up from feeling like we have to control everything in our life, and that we are good enough the way we are. And that we don't have to be filling an empty hole with things that can never satiate us, that we can just, we can fill ourselves up by having this experience of ourselves. So just notice this week where you block your emotions, difficult emotions, and where you might like to begin to open up space to feel things again in that way. Have a great week. Bye.